Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttatoosandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Hey, it's Jeff McNichol down here at Mom's Music, 1900 Melwood Avenue. I was just thinking, when I was a kid, the magic was at Frankfort Avenue, the Mom's Music at Frankfort Avenue, and I used to beg people to get a ride down there just to hang out with the guys and see all the cool gear. Now that I'm the owner of this store, it's like a dream come true. We're recreating the magic with the vibe that we used to have at the old store. We're carrying all the gear that you're going to possibly want. We're giving you the outstanding service and personal attention that you deserve. Yeah, so we've got the great guitar shop here. We're carrying USA Fender, USA Gibson, Paul Reed Smith, Gretsch, Jackson, Charvel, anything you could possibly want, we're going to have it for you. Mom's is and always will be Louisville's music store.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I'm your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now let's get this show on the road. What is going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of the Metal Forge. How are you all doing? I'm doing awesome. It's an awesome week here at the Metal Forge. Got some cool stuff coming up. But first, I have Mina Walkure here, and she is from the band Kramp from Spain. Super cool stuff. Like, this episode was a while in the making because it was a deal for me where I wanted to reach out a couple of years ago when I first heard of the band through like Instagram, when I opened up the Metal Forge podcasting page on there, you know, at Metal Forge Radio, and I didn't get a chance to, and like things went wicked crazy, and all of a sudden it was just like bam, 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 and here it is 2 years later, and it's like, holy hell, what has happened, you know, with like time? It is just like went crazy fast the last couple of years. Because, you know, here we are now. This is episode 186. 186. Wow. That's a lot. And I'm glad that she's here. We're going to be talking with her momentarily. We're also going to be talking with Athena because she's back in the Metal Forge studio with a new Metal Mischief. And that's going to be interesting as well, because I'm excited for it, because I love doing in-studio stuff. And hopefully, in the next few weeks, I will have some awesome news. I've got a lot of things cooking right now, and a lot of cool guests coming up. And hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, I will have some kick-ass news for you all. And it's... just cross your fingers, cross your toes, do whatever you gotta do, because I'm hoping, and it's exciting coming up. But yeah, so how is everything? You know, it never ceases to amaze me how things happen. You know, whether it be, you know, just whatever, and then all of a sudden something's either not there, or it's like, wow, when did that happen? Holy crap, you know? So, like, if you all are interested in an interesting, like, rabbit hole, YouTube, or not even YouTube for that matter. Well, it might be YouTube because there's already been people talking about making a documentary of this. The Irate Fest here in Louisville, this was going to be the first year for it. Apparently the promoter did some shady stuff, and well, just get on Facebook and if you want, and look up the Irate Fest, Kentucky Irate Fest Do Not Support page. And oh my gosh, it is insane. The stuff that is going on is wicked crazy. Like, there was some stuff exposed about the promoter and a few bands playing. Wow, it is intense. And somebody's already talking about making a documentary about it, which is insane. So yeah, so check it out, have some fun, get your popcorn ready, because it's great. It's like if TMZ were like in your face, in your front door kind of stuff. So it's fun. But, you know, I really do wish that something like that could have actually happened on a even though I do not like to say the word local on the show, this instance I am going to say it. I wish that actually were able to happen on a local level. My only concern, other than the garbage with the promoter and the band that was like, ugh, yeah, that guy. Other than that, the only thing that I didn't care for about it, it was 80-something bands over 3 days. And it's that thing. It's that that freaking 14-day festival thing, you know? It's like, I don't get it. It's not me. It's not for me. But I know it's so much for other people out there because, hey, why not? You know, it's more power for your money, more bang for your buck, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so check it out. I hope you enjoy it. It's just, I wonder what make people tick sometimes. That's all I have to say, really. So let's go ahead and check in here with Athena and Metal Mischief.
Misfits and miscreants, bangers and mashers, deviants and the deviated, the tormented and the fermented, ghouls and goblins, creatures of the night. Jack those headphones, crank the volume to max, spark it up, and just relax. It's time for your deadly dose. Welcome to the next installment of Metal Mischief. Part 1. The story of the mysterious musicians. No, this is not a Scooby-Doo thing. I know. I just kind of thought that when I was writing it, actually. I was like, oh, it's kind of like Scooby-Doo. Anyway. On today's lineup, BODING with their new album, Circular Ruins. So, if you tune in regularly, you will hear this spiel out of me every now and then. I hunt down these amazing metal bands, and then when I try to find out any information about them or about their new album, there's nothing to find. These amazing bands exist with little to no information. When I do reach out, sometimes it takes days, weeks, until I hear anything back. So, then the time has passed. I've already done the review and everything, and I have no problem going back and, giving people their props and everything, and giving their credit where it's due, of course. But it's just kind of frustrating, when I want to go learn stuff about bands and get to know it a little bit better, and there's not a lot out there. And I know everybody leads these crazy busy lives and everything, and I get that. But, I'm a sponge when it comes to music. Just give me all the information, So you can just, imagine my frustration when I could find next to nothing about BODING. I do know that they are I mean, they're doom. They're not doomy, but it's really good doom metal.
You just started singing the doom song.
I almost did, actually. I almost went Zim there. Or Grr, I should say. I'm gonna sing the doom song now. Doomy. Oh, see, I still ended up doing it. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Glad I could help.
Yeah. I do know that they are from Brighton, UK. The label is independent, and it was released on August 16th, 2022. But beyond this, I am at a complete loss for any other information. So, if you have been listening in the background, you can hear what I am drooling over and why I just want to get to know these guys a little bit better. I enjoyed this album so very much. It is a full-length doom metal instrumental excursion, a masterful funeral march, so to speak. It puts you in this deep headspace and opens the third eye. Just a peep, just a peek, like just a glance. And like some beautiful metal moth, you emerge sweaty and fulfilled. But due to the fact that I don't have much more to say about BODING at the moment because there was no information for me, I'm going to recommend that you, the listener, go and see if you can find any information about these guys. BODING, BODING. Look them up, see if you can find anything, and if you find anything, please hit us up at the Metal Forge or Athena for Metal Mischief or Thrashers and Destroyers, and let me know. Let us know, because these guys are badass, and I just want to know a little bit more about them. So for now, that is going to be some metal homework for all of you guys.
Definitely.
So normally at this part, I am going to smoke weed and drink bourbon, but I am not in my studio right now, so I cannot partake of the marijuana right now. But I do have bourbon in front of me.
Yes.
So Mark.
Yeah. Ah ha ha.
How, how. Give me 1 second. Let me take this sip.
Yeah, and for all the listeners out there, what you can do is, if you do find out any info on any band that we've either mentioned or, hey, somebody you want to suggest for a review or interview on the Metal Forge, just shoot me an email at metalforgeradio@gmail.com.
Or yeah, if you got an awesome band and you want us to take a listen to it, and if you don't mind me reviewing you,
yeah,
send it my way, please. Metal Forge or Athena, don't matter. Like, send it our way, because I'm always looking for new bands, and I'm always looking for... But if you send me music, fucking send me some information too. Damn it.
That's a good idea.
Yes, please. Mark was actually showing me earlier these bands that package these awesome little zines and things.
Oh, yeah.
In their albums. And that's so fucking cool. I love, that's such a 70s thing.
Right.
Which we're about to go into here in a minute. That started back in the 70s, and that was a way of promoting themselves with like little mini comics and the little zines and things that they did. And I love the fact that bands are still doing that.
Oh, yeah. It's total underground at this point. And just to be able to have something to go along with the music, whether it be a lyric sheet or whatever, just even a little, something that you might have been featured in, that's a little independent zine. That's totally rad stuff.
Or even if you photocopy the motherfucker and send it to us. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool as fuck, man.
Total DIY.
Let us help you. We can all help each other in this community. Like,
yes.
Send us some cool shit. We will do shout outs and we will take care of you as long as you keep making awesome music.
Definitely. So you mentioned something about the 70s. Mm-hmm. And since we're talking about a band from Brighton, UK, how about we travel, it's about 138 miles or so, 140 miles up the road to Birmingham.
The
home of heavy metal.
The home of Black Sabbath. That's the perfect tie-in, Mark. Thank you. Because that brings us to part 2. Throwback tracks. throwback tracks. It's bonus track time. Plug in the 8-track. Metal Mischief bowls over metal from the 70s. Speaking of what Mark was just saying, you know, we can say that metal was defined by the 70s, especially in the UK. I mean, Sabbath undeniably was like what started the movement for metal, like logistically and just, how do I want to say that? It wasn't just like the music, but the feeling that Sabbath brought to everybody.
Right.
Was completely different than anything that was out there. And it really, like, it was okay to bring out the darker side of yourself. It was okay to, like, be a little on the outskirts of normality, you know. And
I think it was a thing with, like, you know, with, like, the war and stuff going on, that they were very just real world, like real emotion players. You know,
Yeah.
they I think for me, for example, Black Sabbath taught me that it's okay to be depressed, you know, because it's part of life, you know, and it's okay to have, you know, every day under the sun, you know, it's always that. It's that's what it is to me.
right. That's, yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, Mark. Yeah, you got it, man. And I'm sure Sabbath makes us all, like, realize, you know, our mortality and stuff. And they just brought it to us in a different format than, like, there's a lot of, like, sad songs in the 50s and the 60s about death and stuff. But they were, like, they like that, like, happy music behind it. And you're like, wait a minute. This is, like, a juxtaposition to, like, how I'm actually feeling. I'm not fucking, like, oh, you know, no, it's not fucking butterflies and bullshit. No, it's doom and gloom, and it's fucking
Right.
It feels like shit. And, you know, the 60s just covered up our feelings about the doom and the gloom and the sadness and the strife and the depression. And in the 70s, these bands were like, oh no, like this, you know, we're going to bring this up from the roots of what it is. And that's the perfect transition for it, because the 60s were so bubblegum happy bullshit, even though they were talking about, like, you know, people getting run over on motorcycles and murdered and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, but it was so, like, everything's fine. No, it's not. Nothing is fine. It sucks. But no, in reality, everything is going to be fine.
Of course.
But, you know, that is a perfect transition to what I'm talking about, though. Like how the 70s bloomed metal. The 70s bloomed the emotional... How do I want to say that? It opened up a lot of things for people, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I know you and I are just under that age where we weren't there for the movement.
Right.
But I'm actually going to get to that when I talk about my dad here in a minute.
Yeah.
You know, because he was there for, like, the rise of metal. So, I mean, we can say, you know, that metal was defined by the 1970s.
Yeah.
The basic structure and building blocks that led to bands like BODING, at a time when rules relax and having an acid-laden, free-spirited attitude towards music allowed for rebellion and rebirth of the music, creating a whole new genre, fucking heavy metal. A genre that took the hard-edged sound of the late 60s, as we were just talking about, where they were bubblegummy, and then they started feeling it towards the late 60s, you know. And then, of course, in the early 70s, that's when Sabbath came along. So, you know, it was a genre that took the hard-edged sound of the late 60s, bands such as Cream and The Who, you know, that manipulated the guitars and amplifiers to bend to the mercy of metal. Not that anyone called it metal back then, though. It was rock fused with blues, jazz, and psychedelica. Oh, and a whole lot of fucking attitude. It was an era of pioneers. Giants were birthed by drugs, drums, monsters, loose women, Satan. Oh, and the amplifier.
Yeah.
I mean, we know of our usual suspects. The undeniably immortalized bands that took the risk, dealt with the hearsay, fought against the public norms, that took all of us to that realm of riffs. Black Sabbath dominated the 70s with Paranoid, Master of Reality, Black Sabbath, Sabby Bloody Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Sabby, bloody Sabby.
Sabby, Sabby, did Sabby, do.
Sabby, bloody Sabby.
Sabby, bloody Sabby. Sabbath, bloody Sabbath. And then my favorite, Volume 4.
Yes.
Which I believe is Mark's favorite,
it
too.
is. It's very much my favorite.
That's fucking album was so heavy. I mean, holy fuck, the album was so heavy.
Yeah, they were on coke the whole time.
Space Coke?
No, maybe. I mean, maybe.
I mean, in the folds of that, though, we had Judas Priest, Alice Cooper, Thin Lizzy, Kiss, Motorhead, AC/DC, and Rainbow, and lots more, but those, of course, are our top tiers that we're talking about. But I want to dive into some amazing bands that even to this day do not really get considered metal, so to speak. And I would be very curious what bands you think were metal marauders back in the day too. Because of course I only have so much time, I can't gush on and on, which Mark knows I will fucking do, especially when drinking bourbon. So I'm going to keep this short and simple. I would like to begin by saying that I even think some songs by The Animals could be considered heavy. Some pieces written in medieval times, Renaissance times, can all in some way show the growth and flourishing nature of metal and its place in our social norms. My father was a metalhead before metalhead was actually a thing. I grew up listening to so many amazing bands, and thanks to my father's taste in music, at the time it was called rock and roll. I'm doing the quotey finger things again, because it's rock and roll. I fell in love with rock and roll, aka metal. And I dove in hard and heavy, let me tell ya. Bands such as Uriah Heep. I mean, holy shit, man. Every time I go to karaoke, I have to do Stealin'. Every time. That song's so awesome and so heavy. Deep Purple. I mean, look at Machine Head, man. That album is prelude to so many band boners. It's ridiculous. Budgie, UFO, Blue Oyster Cult, all laden with that bluesy doom acid influence that made metal groovy and doomy at the same time. Montrose, Thin Lizzy, Nazareth, soothing your sinful ways with raspy vocals and sexy six strings. Prog rock legends, Lucifer's Friend, Pentagram, and Captain Beyond could all be considered melodic metal marauders. In addition, throwing Sir Lord Baltimore in there just to add a butt. Boy, I'm going Freudian all over the place tonight.
You are.
Just to add a bit of punk influence to the fold.
Right.
I mean, all of these bands have contributed something very special to the memory and the history of heavy metal, influencing so many new houses of metal that it actually feels like it's getting a bit crowded. It feels impossible to keep up with all of the amazing metal bands and subgenes of metal, but that's what I'm actually circling around to. How metal started with a handful of rebels. And then look at us now. With so many
So many facets.
Facets, that's the perfect word. Thank you. Yeah. So many facets of metal now. You know, it's pretty amazing to me when I sit down and I really start to think about shit. And I've often thought about sitting down and making like a metal tree, like a family tree. And holy fuck, I would dedicate half my life to that by this point.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be insane. You know? But that's where I'm going with this whole thing, though. Just like, where are we now, where we started in the 70s, when it wasn't even considered metal yet? And look at the metal community now. It's pretty fucking amazing, I have to say. I just want to wrap everything up, though, with one of my favorite bands, Jethro Tull. Formed in Blackpool, England in 1967, they initially just played blues rock and like jazz fusion, you know, kind of thing. The band incorporated elements of like English folk music and classical music, forging a signature prog rock sound that always teetered on the edge of some seriously heavy shit, though. I mean, literally, go and listen to Aqualung. Like, I mean, that whole album is so fucking heavy. Thick as a brick, heavy. Those albums are heavy, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then you had Ian run around like a fucking madman on stage, which just like added to the whole, like, you know, because we would later go on to see all kinds of amazing metal bands where the lead singers just ran around like a fucking madman on stage. Yes, I'm talking about you, Ronnie James Dio. But I fucking love you. I fucking love Ian too, man. I think Jethro Tull is amazing. And they will always be one of my favorite heavy metal bands. So, that's it for throwback tracks. Now, it's time for Athena's 5-shot review. Here are the rules if you've been sleeping through class. 5 shots! I needed 5 shots to get through the motherfucker. 4 shots. Meh. Could've used some oomph. 3 shots. Good. Made me air drum and bang my head. 2 shots. Really good. Put that shit in the glove box for traveling. 1 shot. Excellent. I'll probably have a bangover in the morning. So, insert shitty drum roll. I give BODING Circular Ruins 2 shots. Really good.
Yeah.
Put that shit in the glove box for traveling. So, until we meet again, have a most excellent time. And remember, keep it heavy. And keep it retro.
You know what? I really enjoy Athena coming in here to the actual Metal Forge studio and recording these with me because it's so rad. You know, she gets so animated and is like throwing her hands around and being just like, hey, 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 you know, and it's so funny that I'm like over here waiting for her to include me in the conversation, and I'm just sitting there trying not to laugh my ass off. It's just great because it's good times, you know, it's bourbon, it's, you know, it's all that kind of stuff. It's awesome conversation. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. This is from Kramp. This is Night Witches.
The boat that's surrounded, the night is alive. For those who play the game of the war in the sky. The snakes like clear on the wings with their hair. The back of your stew are arresting the fire. All of the witches tonight. Deadly omen is made in the sky. All of the witches tonight. Deadly omen is raining up hills the sky. As a cloud of smoke and the vision is blind. The voice of the wake and somehow guys. The day they were kids in the
right, metalheads, this time we're coming across the ocean to Spain, and I have Mina Walkure from the band Kramp here in the Metal Forge. Mina, how are you?
I'm really good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I know, it's been like a long time coming, I think. I know for the last couple of years I've followed you guys on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So how are things? How is the metal scene in Spain? I
mean, like right now worldwide, I think it's complex because, COVID, war and stuff like that. But I think the Spanish scene is quite strong somehow. It's been like that for the last decade or so, but it seems like recently there's been like a new generation of bands, and I think I'm very proud because there are many small festivals, many heavy metal clubs that are trying to put, their own events and stuff like that, and it's pretty cool.
For sure. And it's always nice to have a lot of stuff like that going on.
Yeah, of course, I'm only talking about, the more underground heavy metal scene, because that's the sound that I care about, not like black metal or more stream or even those modern sounds. Of course, there are many festivals, huge festivals dedicated to those, but I only focus on heavy metal. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry
That's
at all.
what matters to me.
For sure. And, there is a huge underground scene, where you have such awesome bands like, Seven Sisters and Haunt and Savage Master and all of those awesome Night Demon, all of those bands that are still, to me, they're still underground enough to where, they're not playing like giant festivals like Bloodstock or anything like that. I mean, they're close to it, but it still feels close to home.
Actually, you mentioned Seven Sisters, and yesterday they announced a small mini tour here in Spain, 3 gigs, and I mean, it's great to see those bands moving and playing and slowly everything coming back to normal in terms of activity, because I missed the shows very much.
Oh, very much. Yeah.
We all did, I know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's cool that Seven Sisters announced that they were doing like a little mini tour there, because I know Kyle was living there for a while.
Yes, I think he is still living here. I'm not sure, but I heard that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe he got stranded there during COVID. Like, he was there on holiday, and then everything shut down, and he's like, well, I guess I live here now.
Well, sounds like something that may happen, because everything was a nightmare. I almost got stuck in Greece.
Oh,
I was
wow.
I went to Greece to Up the Hammers Festival, and the festival didn't happen, and I was like, what is going on? I have no idea. Every place was denying the existence of COVID back then. It was not official. So then I started to receive a lot of messages from Spain like, hey, you may get stuck there. Please come back right now, because if you come on Sunday, everything is going to be closed and you will not be able to come back. So yes, that was stressing.
Wow.
But I managed to come back. But there was many people that got stuck in different places, and that was a nightmare.
Very much. I know quite a few people from America that were going there for that as well, and a similar situation had happened to them.
Oh, yes. I actually was with the guys of back then, Stellar and other bands. And from I think I saw the guys from Smolder and Nightmare and Throne of Iron as well. Well, they didn't even make it to Greece. They got back, and I think it was in Austria or something like that. And they took them back, like, you cannot travel anymore, so go back to USA. Right.
Yeah, I believe Tucker from Throne of Iron, he and I were talking about that, where it happened to him.
Yes, that was. I was following, and like, I'm going to see you. Are you going to come? And no, they didn't make it. Like, it was stressful.
So bad. So, tell everybody out in Metal Forge land about Kramp.
Well, it's a heavy metal band, very typical heavy metal sound, traditional, with that epic atmosphere that back in the 80s, mostly the US power metal sound, bands like Manowar, Virgin Steel, Warlord, going for the most obscure, and also with a lot of influence from the European bands, obviously the huge bands such as Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, but also a lot of the German heavy metal. I'm a huge fan of bands like Gravedigger, Running Wild, Heaven's Gate, that type of stuff. And yes, so I write a lot of epic heavy metal inspired tracks.
Definitely. And see, that to me, and when it shows here on like the Metal Archives that you all had started around 2010.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's been a while, but to be honest, I don't know the starting point because it's always been me wanting to do something and dragging my brother with me. Right. So we don't have an exact date because we always try to be on bands, be active, try to find the right people, which was impossible and still is impossible. So back in 2010, there was a more established point when we were able to work with some people and try to be on our rehearsal room like proper bands do. And we were playing some shows and stuff like that. So I think we put that date to put something because,
definitely,
it's messy.
Right. But the thing about that is what the reason why I bring up the 2010 date is because with the style of music that you all play, that you're almost like the first wave of this like traditional resurgence.
Yes. Back then, I was obsessed with doing traditional heavy metal because it's my everything. Traditional heavy metal is the thing that I love the most in the world. And back then, there was this huge wave of European power metal that has nothing to do with US power metal. Very cheesy, very happy, I don't like it. And the symphonic, more symphonic stuff, and that they were calling gothic metal that has nothing to do with goth scene. And on the other hand, there was more bands like Arch Enemy and stuff like that with that melodic death metal that I don't enjoy. Well, I respect, but I don't go for. And of course, when I was starting and I was like mentioning what I wanted to do, most of the people were like, "Oh, so you're doing power metal?" And it's like, no, not what you think power metal is. Because obviously they had no idea what US power metal was, what epic heavy metal is, or stuff like that. Now there's more open culture and the internet is wider compared to those days. Back then it was a fucking nightmare. And obviously I'm a girl trying to sing metal. And of course the comparisons were like, so you're trying to do Nightwish or stuff like that. And it's so far from that type of music and bands that it was a hard beginning. Yes, it was very hard to try to expose what my idea was, my influences, my goal. It was a nightmare.
Definitely. And I can only imagine how hard it could actually be for a female vocalist in a band, especially wanting to do like power metal and things like that, because I think a lot of women get lumped into like an Amy Lee of Evanescence category.
Yes, of course. And back then I was before that, because I was trying to find the right people and still didn't form a band. I was going to vocal lessons. And obviously my vocal teacher had no idea what metal was, except Nothing Else Matters by Metallica or stuff like that. Very basic, right? So she was trying her best. She was honestly trying her best. But the songs that she tried to put for me were Evanescence with Amy Lee. And no, not for me. I mean, like, I respect any kind of music. Anyone making music has my full respect because this is a hard life and I love music, even if I don't enjoy that type of music. But no, I didn't feel comfortable. It wasn't for me. It was not what I aim for in terms of reaching my full potential. And yeah. So it was frustrating because I was trying to explain them and they had no idea.
Definitely.
To this day, it's very hard to make them understand. And let's be honest, right now with the internet, you and I are talking, and we know we have mentioned so many bands already that are closer to my little world. But the reality is that with Facebook, Instagram, and all social media, we feel less lonely compared to 10 years ago more than 10 years ago when I was trying to put this band together. Back then I felt very lonely because I was trying to do traditional heavy metal and there was not many bands, or I wasn't aware of bands being active because the internet wasn't that wide. And right now we feel more protected, but it's not how the world works, actually. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
No, absolutely I do. And
yeah,
you're absolutely right with that. Is, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever, in my case, for my deal, 15 or so years ago, yeah, there was so many bands out there that you just didn't know about, because even with the internet, it was still a fraction of what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Because today you can't get on any social media platform and not see something from a band that you follow or anything like that. But 10, 12, 15 years ago, it was a lot harder to do.
Yeah, it was very obscure. For example, Enforcer, which were pretty active back then, I had no idea they existed until some years later, because it was very isolated. Even if I was into the heavy metal underground scene, but it was close. It was very close, and close in terms of not near. I mean, very what's the word? Like I don't know. Like it was very far away.
Right.
Very, very distant.
Definitely. It's always interesting when you find out about bands that that they've been around for 10 years, but you just discover them.
Yes,
and
of course.
That's always interesting to me, because I'm one of the guys who has to sit there and I might hear somebody on their third or fourth album or EP or whatever, and I'm like, I got to go back to the beginning. What did this
Yeah,
start
I'm
out?
the same. I need to check the whole discography, because, bands change and you may be missing a fucking amazing album or the opposite way. But I like to check the whole material of a band, because you cannot judge a band just based on one song, on one album, one EP. I need to check everything and see if I can turn into the biggest fan or not.
I think you can only do that with one band, and that's AC/DC.
I don't like AC/DC. and if you're going to ask me about my unpopular opinions, that was one of my options, because
Absolutely.
I absolutely hate AC/DC.
I think they're the one band that everybody can sit there and say they can hear them in 1975 or 2005 or 2015, and they're going to be like, "Yep, that's AC/DC. It's all the same."
Yeah, the sound. I gotta give them that credit, because no mistake, AC/DC.
Right.
The same song over and over again.
Oh, sure. Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Kramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code MetalForge to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soulgrinder Zine, an independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. you said you drag your brother around doing
Yes.
this, and he is obviously the bass player.
Yes, he is.
Now, you all are kind of between members right now, correct?
Oh,
Incorrect?
yes, we've always been, so no surprise.
So, how is the member search coming along?
Tedious, not gonna lie, but my point of view, my philosophy with this has changed so much over the years. I've learned so much how to handle this. Back in the day, I was obsessed with having a full lineup because I didn't know any other way. I thought that was the only way of working. And I was living in Valencia, which is a very small city. And we are not even from there. We are from a very small village. So I didn't know anyone. My social skills suck. There are no metalheads there. So it was very complicated to find a lineup. But I tried my best. Back then, we kind of did something and we put together some people and we were able to play and do stuff. But I was so obsessed that I moved to Madrid. And then I found more people and we were doing stuff for a while, and it was easier because Madrid is a huge city. During the COVID, I had to move to another place because I am a nomad. And again, more lineup changes and stuff like that. But to be honest, I'm the one, I'm the band. Along with my brother, I write all the stuff. So I don't care if I have someone around me or not. So I decided to kind of change my way of working, and instead of focusing on live concerts, which I realized during the COVID that it was not that important because back then it was impossible to tour, to focus on keep doing more material and writing songs and stuff like that, and count maybe with someone that will record the material and, people for live lineups, instead of a full band committed to the band and giving their lives for this music, because that's impossible. Let's be honest. I'm not Iron Maiden. I cannot pay like a proper salary to musicians to make them worth the experience,
Right.
What I can give is not enough for them to dedicate their whole life and energy for the band. That's what I mean. And so, that I'm relaxed with the lineup, and I'm only thinking about that, on one side, a live lineup, which is easier but still very tricky. And on the other hand, I'm still doing my material. We are still preparing songs for studio, and that's easier even if you don't have a lineup. So, I don't know if that explained the whole thing. I hope it did.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely it does. So, having a live band, I know there's tons of people out there who have that going on for them already. I mean, Chris from High Spirits, he writes and records everything. Trevor Church writes and records everything. And they have the live band. And it's the core group of people that they've been there since like the beginning type stuff. So, that's a totally cool thing to have, especially if you have the ability to do all of that.
Yeah, for example, one of my biggest influences on that topic, and he has recently talked about this very, very much on social media and stuff like that in a public way, is Jeff Waters from Annihilator.
Oh, yeah.
He's the band. As simple as that. And so many people doesn't understand that maybe some bands is just one or two persons doing everything, and they are the heart and the thing that keeps that project moving, and the rest of the people that is on the band or has been or stuff like that is just people that has been there and they did their work and amazing and blah blah blah, but it's not the band.
Definitely.
And it sounds very harsh to accept because it's complicated and people are very sensitive. For example, Cover Spell, Sonia Nubis, she had a lot of lineup changes recently and many people were bashing her. And I was like, why? She is the heart and soul of her band and she needs to find musicians to work. And if someone doesn't work on or doesn't fit on the band, it's okay. It's her project, period.
Right.
This is not a family. This is not a friend reunion. I mean, if there is a good vibe and we are all friends, perfect, amazing, better. The situation will go more smooth. But this should be normalized. The idea that a band may not be a band, just one person behind working everything, and then some people doing their things.
Definitely. And I think that's more and more common nowadays with,
it's more exposed. I think that this has been from ages and ages and ages. But, there was a very ignorant belief, I think, because there are many bands like Judas Priest. They are made with a more solid lineup, and some people only sees that. But there are others, like I mentioned, Running Wild, Gravedigger, and many other examples. Or if you go with bigger bands, Rainbow, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Rainbow is Richie Blackmore, and I'm a huge Rainbow fan, and I love every era. And I think Dio was amazing on Rainbow, and Joey Lynn Turner was amazing on Rainbow, but they were the singers of that moment, and the band was Richie Blackmore, period.
Right.
Period.
No, I agree with you 100%. Even on the Black Sabbath debate there, I still think,
exactly.
I think, especially through the 70s, Tony and Geezer were Black Sabbath. And yeah.
Exactly. And no matter what, there's been so many singers on Black Sabbath, and obviously the sound changes, but Dio had that strong personality, that filter everywhere, and every band or project that he was in basically turned into Dio. Let's be honest. But the heart and soul of the band wasn't Tony Martin, the best singer of Black Sabbath. Dio, Ozzy, no, it was the two guys that you mentioned, period.
Yep.
And that's it, because it was their project. And sometimes it doesn't even matter who puts the name, like in the case of... I was going to mention Accept, but that doesn't count because I'm conflicted. That's another story.
Definitely. I'm just glad that you totally hit on the Tony Martin era about being the best singer for Black Sabbath.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Dio anytime. But if we're talking about Black Sabbath, Tony Martin wins, period, because he can sing the whole catalog of stuff, and amazing singer, amazing range, amazing charisma.
Definitely.
And amazing material as well, because those albums are forgotten.
Very much. And I do like power metal Sabbath with Tony Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always like, wow, somebody says Tony Martin. Cool.
Yeah.
Which, I know they're not listening to the show, but they need to be, damn it, they need to be putting the IRS recordings out, the Tony Martin era stuff. They need to remaster that stuff.
That guy needs respect and needs to be more respected. That's the only thing that I can say, because he's so amazing. And yeah,
very
people
much so.
only remembers this huge battle that for some reason the metal world needs to be divided between OC era and Dio era, and it's like Tony Martin wins everything, period. And I'm a huge, again, I need to bring this out again, I'm a huge Dio fan. I love the records with Dio. Heaven and Hell is probably one of my favorite songs of all times. But yeah, the debate is like that.
Well, I think with them, they've always had exceptional singers. Ozzy was great. Dio was great. Gillan was great. Tony Martin's great.
Yes.
And even for the 2-night event, two shows, Rob Halford singing for them, they've always had somebody with a powerful voice, which is so good.
If I'm not wrong, for example, they counted with Jorn, maybe, or some other singers. And yeah, only amazing vocalist all the time. I mean, Ozzy had his own limitations, let's call it like that, but his charisma is so strong that it doesn't matter how well he can sing in terms of technique and stuff like that, because he is Ozzy Osbourne and period.
Right, for sure. So what's coming up next? I know you all put out the album in 2020.
Yes.
Are you all currently working on something new?
I'm always working on something new, and the lineup change this time was slow and tedious as fuck. I'm not going to lie, because it was one people at a time, and I didn't even bother to find musicians, let's be honest. And I was still working on new stuff. I'm always working on new stuff no matter what's going on behind the scenes, because I like to write songs. But I took some time to kind of relax because it was a very stressful moment. And even though I had many songs ready, even before Gods of Death was released, I already had like 4 some albums. Because, it's been a while since the band was formed, to the point when the album was released. So I had a lot of time to write songs. So now we are preparing on some stuff, and I don't know when, because we are taking it easy. My work methods have changed, and I'm not thinking of an album right now. Like I have an album on mind, but my priority is to go on the singles, releasing singles,
Definitely.
And taking it easy, because putting a full album together can be very stressful, and putting just one song each time, even if it belongs to a full album, it's something that can help to the workflow and the mental health and everything. So yeah.
Definitely it does. And yeah, there's always time to do it. And just because you write and record something now doesn't mean that in 2 years it can't be put on a full-length album.
Yeah, no, my plans are to do it sooner, or I hope so. But expectations and dates and stuff like that. I'm very used to shit happening all the time, unexpectedly, or whatever, So I'm good at improvising and adapting and overcoming. So right now I put my goals all over the place, and I keep trying to conquer them. So my first goal, we are working on a new single. I don't know when it's going to be released. Luckily, I don't have any pressure. We can decide anytime. So we are preparing that also, because during the pandemic, my brother fell. He had an accident, and he broke his elbow on one arm and the clavicle on the other
Oh my
arm.
gosh.
That was awful, and it was a terrible episode, and he's still waiting for a surgery. So our plans are kind of more relaxed in based of that, because I don't know if he's going to be able to record another song, or so we are taking small steps each time and waiting for the fucking hospital to call us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully that happens soon, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a while, so it's going very slowly, but hopefully soon.
Definitely.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Set back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby. So I'm going to go ahead and break away into some general profile questions about you.
Okay.
You know, these are, I always say this, I have to give the spiel. These are just general life questions. They could be music related if you wanted to put that on it. They could be just whatever.
Okay.
Did your childhood shape you into who you are today?
Of course, of course. And I'm a firm believer that I need to thank every fucking moment of my life, the worst ones especially, because otherwise I will not be the person that I am today, and I'm very proud of who I am. I'm not going to lie or be humble about it. I'm very proud of who I am, and my childhood, of course, I think it can shape it. It's childhood is where when people develop. So yes, of course, it shaped me a lot.
Definitely. Have you ever had a roommate? And if so,
A what? Sorry?
A roommate, someone who lived with you.
Like
where you shared housing with like a friend.
No, like a friend. No, right now I'm living with my boyfriend, but I'm a hermit. I'm very antisocial. So when I was 18, I moved away, and my dream was to live alone on my own cave and not see anyone. So I lived many years alone, and now I'm living with my boyfriend. But yeah.
Right on.
No roommates.
No roommates.
I hated that idea. Actually, there was a very obscure time of my life when I was almost forced to share a house with someone, and that was a very stressful moment for me. And I'm so glad that didn't happen, because my anxiety was over the roof.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of roommates in my time, and just like, no. I definitely like the solitude. You know, living with a significant other is one thing, you know, but living with like your friends, you know, I quickly realized it's not for me.
I very much admire the people who are capable of, because my social skills are terrible. So yeah, I cannot think about that. That sounds like my worst nightmare, honestly.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's rough. This is an interesting one. I just draw these at random, so please.
Yeah, nice. Cool. Keep it coming.
If you were pregnant, where would be the worst place to go into labor?
I mean, like, being pregnant, that sounds like a nightmare already. Like, no. But,
right.
Okay, like, imagine being on a public, like, the biggest street of a city, crowded as fuck. Like, I used to live in Madrid, like, the principal street, there. But on Christmas, full of people. Because as I told, I'm very antisocial. My social skills suck. So the attention for me, on daily stuff is very much overwhelming. So just imagining that, like all the people talking to me and being like crowding me. No.
Nope.
Nope. I rather give birth on a dirty toilet on a bar or something like that. But
oh wow! Rather than on the busy public street,
and cut my own cord and with my teeth. I don't know anything, but no people.
That's metal as fuck, by the way. That is metal. That is a metal as fuck answer. If you were given $1,000 to spend on your closest friend, what would you get for them?
On my closest friend, probably guitar-related stuff. Because,
right on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, because, hey, the gift of music is great.
Yeah.
What is one thing you would be really disappointed in if you never got to experience?
Traveling more for concerts. Like, outside Spain, like, I've been to UK playing, and that was awesome, but I really want to go to other countries of at least Europe. I want to travel all over the world and be at some festival which is dedicated to underground heavy metal, and I want to play there. Fuck. Call me. Festivals.
Right. Absolutely. See, that's my thing too. Honestly, for me, I I want to go overseas and play, and not just necessarily play, just I want to go to. I'm not big on like giant festival shows, like 3-4 day things, but like I would totally be down for like a day somewhere, going
Here,
to a day at Wacken.
Yes, like I mean, I don't know I know there are some festivals that I want to go, like 1 day festivals or maybe 2. I don't remember the names, sorry. But here in Europe it's pretty popular, more on the underground heavy metal scene. Like there are many small festivals that only last 1 day, and yeah, I think that's a good experience because more days it's overwhelming and exhausting, and
again, it's on the social thing.
Yeah, if it's riff and good, that's enough.
Definitely. I think, for me personally, a 1 day festival, because when I started going to shows and started doing things like Ozfest and things like that they were only 1 day. And yeah, you got to, you had the chance to see like 25 bands or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you apply that to, 25 bands or 30 bands per day that you can, it's a lot, and it can be overwhelming, and it's
yes. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of massive festival culture, and there are many huge festivals here that last for many days, and they crowd the bands, and you don't get to see any. You don't really get to see any. I only went once many years ago, and it was great. It was a nice experience, but I missed some bands that I really wanted to see. First of all, because there were many bands playing at the same time, and second, because I was exhausted and I was ready to collapse because 3 days is a lot. It's a lot, and even if you are the most healthy person in the world, which I am, I don't drink or do drugs or anything, it's just too much. There is so much heat. You cannot sleep very, very well. You cannot sleep at all. And there is so much activity going on, and you don't get to enjoy the bands. I remember watching Accept right when they were presenting Mac Tornillo, and I was enjoying it a lot. But there is an anecdote that I need to tell. Pete Baltes estaba... I'm talking in Spanish. Nope. The bass player was looking at me, and I was like, yes, I'm a big fan of Accept, and he was trying to throw the picks to me to grab it, and I was so tired. I was on first row, and I was so tired that I was trying to reach with my hand and failing each time, and he threw 3 picks, and I missed all of them. And that was pathetic, and he smiled at me, and he made a sign with his shoulders like,
yeah,
so
like
bad.
Where he shrugs, yeah.
But I was feeling like I was falling asleep, and I was trying my best to keep head banging, but I was very tired. I was very tired.
Definitely. I get that, because like I went to see Metallica last September at a festival called Louder Than Life here in Kentucky, and it was just so awful hot. And getting there, the band starts at like 11 in the morning, and it was a Sunday show, and it was just so freaking hot. And being in the pit for Metallica is already rough as it is when you've got 35,000 people at a show, and it's just
I have an anecdote about that as well. Because I am a grandma and I really like to tell anecdotes everywhere. So many years ago, that was actually, I think, the same year or maybe the previous year to that festival, they were playing Judas Priest, Saxon, and Motorhead. Because, Judas Priest were retired. They said, we're not going to play anymore. So I was like, oh my God, I need to see Judas Priest. Fuck Judas Priest, because they did not retire. The thing is that they were playing obviously in a massive place. I don't know how to say in English, but the bull places of Spain, which is huge. And that was at 4 p.m. on Spanish summer. I'm from the north of Spain, which is way cooler compared to the rest of the country. And Madrid was fucking hot back then. And so I arrived there, and before the first band started, I collapsed, and they had to take me to the back part of the place, and I missed the first band.
Aww.
I missed part of the second band. I saw a bit of Motorhead, but I completely missed Saxon. And yeah, there was so much heat there. The smell of sweat was awful. That was the fucking worst smell ever.
Yes.
Like Spanish armpits sweating.
No, that
summer, that was that terrible. And yeah, but it was a fun anecdote. I can tell it right now on a radio show.
See, that to me was like the same thing with like Metallica. Was like the smell in the pit was so awful that
it's terrible.
Especially on like an all-day show, because people don't want to lose their spot. They do nasty
terrible,
things. They use the bathroom and stuff, and it's just like, oh, it's so awful. But
and we are not the snowflakes. We are metalheads. We are used to metal best with patches smelling like fucking rotten vinegar and cheese and shit like that. And so yeah, but there's a limit to the human nose.
oh absolutely. I had like, it was the craziest thing in the world because I crowd surfed out of Metallica, and I'm a big dude, and me crowd surfing is pretty unheard of. It's the first time I ever done it. But as soon as I got thrown over the rail into security, it was the coolest air and the freshest air I think I'd ever smelled in my life because it was so bad in the pit.
Salvation. So I'm a tiny person, so my nose gets kind of in the way of other armpits. Let's just say that. So it's smelly and it's terrible.
I could understand that. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I have one more question to ask you on the show, but before we do you have any shout-outs you want to give to anybody today?
Thank you to the Metal Forge for having me here. It's been awesome. I really enjoyed the talk, and shout out to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and thank you for coming on to the show. It's been awesome.
My pleasure.
I always am. I'm interested in giving everybody a forum to talk about their art and their music and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, it's very easy to see that you did it with passion and because you love the music and the art. And then, it's awesome.
Well,
For
awesome.
real.
Thank you so much. As always, links will be listed below. So please give a like, a share, and a follow. Check out some of the other stuff because Mina also does artwork for bands and stuff as well. And she also has an awesome YouTube page where she does some vocal covers.
Yeah.
So those will be listed below as well.
Awesome. Support us on social media because it's really important these days.
It is.
And yeah.
Definitely. And always, there will always be a link to a Bandcamp page. So always go to the Bandcamp page and pick up a copy of the album, of whatever you can on there. Merch, albums, everybody lists so many different things. Check them out.
Yes, yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Bandcamp format. So yeah, please support us there.
Oh, I am as well. And most of the people that I pick up, pretty much, unless they're assigned band to somewhere, they actually have everybody tends to have a great Bandcamp page. So,
yes, it's been an amazing help. And I'm very grateful of that type of platforms existing these days because I honestly don't know what will I be doing without, Bandcamp and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm very grateful.
Oh, absolutely. So, final question of the day is, what is the best thing to happen to you this year?
Oh, this year, oh my God. It's been a very interesting year. Like, I don't know. I have no clue. I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's yet to come.
Yeah, I hope so because it's been a rough year.
Oh.
But I don't know. We got to well, yeah, I can name. We were playing on a live show on July, and that was awesome and quite unexpected, and it was a great experience. So yeah, I love playing live. So that's my best thing this year.
Well, I think live is the ultimate redeeming factor of being a musician. And don't get me wrong,
it is.
I support anybody who gets out and does anything music-wise. Yeah, it might not be my cup of tea, I might not dig, like you were talking about earlier, like certain types of like black metal or anything like that, but I can respect what they do.
Yes.
But like, I think live is ultimately like where it is at.
Yes, and for me, I think, this past crisis with the COVID and stuff like that made many people, think about their priorities and how to handle their music career and stuff like that. And there were many big names dropping out and, having a fucking crisis because playing live was not possible.
Definitely.
And yeah, it's very important. I love playing live. I wish I could do it more often. Sadly, I cannot plan as many gigs as I wish I could, but I enjoy it very much. It's time that we play live, and I will fight for it for sure.
Definitely. I agree with that 100%. Mina, thank you so much for coming onto the Metal Forge this week. It has been an awesome conversation. We've got to do this again in the future when
Yes, please.
Because it's been awesome.
I really enjoyed it. So please have me here anytime that you call me. I'll be here.
Definitely. Likewise for that. So, off of Gods of Death, what do you want to play out today?
Speed of Light, for example.
All right. Well, you heard her. This is Speed of Light.
Hey guys, Wrestling Steve of the Wrestling Steve Show here. So if you're currently listening to the Metal Forge with Mark Jackson, then you understand that Mark Jackson has a pretty discerning taste when it comes to music as a whole. You'll also understand that he has a discerning taste for professional wrestling, just like me. My show is called the Wrestling Steve Show. I talk about modern and classic pro wrestling in a completely unbiased, unfiltered way. Be sure to check me out on all available podcasting platforms. That is the Wrestling Steve Show. And I am the host, Wrestling Steve. Just remember, like Confucius said, man who goes through turnstile in Thailand is going to Bangkok. Pro wrestling.
Hey, it's Mark Maxwell at Maxwell's House of Music. Listen, all this stuff is now available to purchase on our website. Check it out at maxwellshouseofmusic.com.
We carry all the top brands, like Fender.
We got Gibson.
We also have basses.
We've got ukuleles.
We got drums.
We've got sound gear.
We've got keyboards.
It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast. We're on season 2, so you have a whole season to get weird with Frank Green and Scott Clark. The best part is there's always laughter.
Oh, yeah, you can pull that out.
We have national touring comedians, NFL stars, rock stars, your local friends. It always gets weird. Weird answers.
Have y'all ever snorted coke off of a 78 Pinto? No? You ain't no man.
Weird questions.
Who had a bigger cocaine habit, Jock Sutherland or Kaywood Ledford?
Neither one, because they stopped beating their wives.
And weird we never even thought of.
Well, no. My friend is on acid, and I sent my friend to go find a payphone so that I can call and turn myself in for murdering this guy and ruin my life.
We love all types of people, but we don't love all people.
Weird. It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast, available everywhere. And thank you to Big X Sports Radio for being a proud sponsor of It's Gonna Get Weird. Frank Green, Scott Clark. Yeah.
Hey, thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of the Metal Forge. I want to take a minute to remind you guys about the Patreon page. Over on the Patreon page, we have the tiers set up to support the production of the show. We feature the Down and Dirty, which is just $1. There's nothing special for that one, it just sends me a thank you, because every dollar helps. Then there's the Double Down and Dirty. Much akin to the Down and Dirty tier, everything helps produce the show in the end. You make your presence known, and I appreciate that more than you realize. Thank you for being a dedicated friend and supporter of the Metal Forge. By selecting that tier, you will receive some cool Metal Forge stickers in your mailbox. Now, we're really going to start pounding the metal madness with the Apprentice Metalhead for just $5 a month. By becoming an Apprentice Metalhead, you'll be given early access to the shows, published 24 hours before everyone else gets it. You're also going to receive 3 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You're also going to receive a 10% discount on all Metal Forge merch, and you're going to receive a sweet Metal Forge patch for your battle jacket or backpack. And now, here is the big one. This is the Master Metalhead for just $10 a month. By becoming a Master Metalhead, you will receive a hand-numbered Metal Forge Master Metalhead membership card. You're going to be given early access to the shows as well, with 36 hours before everyone else. You're going to receive 5 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You'll be able to submit audio questions that I will use on the show of you asking questions to the upcoming guests. Remember, timing is everything, and you will need to keep up with the upcoming guest list on the website. You're also going to receive advanced knowledge of any new merch coming out and be given a 25% discount on all Metal Forge merch. And you're also going to get all of the other rewards from the other tiers. So visit patreon.com/Metal Forge Radio today and help support the Metal Forge. Rock on.